All right, so we've gotten our first two relief cuts cut. We've started cutting cut number 3 down in. And what happened to this piece right here as we started cutting into it? What happened to this shaded in piece? Who can tell me? Fell out, right? Because we had a nice relief cut, so this part fell out. So we're going to do this one here next. What do you think is going to happen to this piece? It's going to fall off. And then we'll do cut number 5, which will be this way. Cut number 6, which will be this way. And same thing will happen. All right? This piece here will fall out, and then this piece over here will fall out. So I'm going to show you that on this right over here. All right, so we're over at this project right here. We've gotten cut number 3 out. We're going to go ahead and do cut number 4. I see that this meets my top right here. So I'm going to square that line across with my square. So I have my line right here of my pattern. I squared that across the top. I'm going to put it in my vise straight up and down, so all I have to do is cut straight up and down. Remember, we're going to start with our push stroke, so we get a nice little rut or indentation in there. We're going to leave our line. We're going to stay right on the outside of that line. I'm good and square. I can see I'm square with this. I can see I'm good and parallel with the side of that table. I'm staying right to the outside of my line. I can hear the tone of the wood change, and I feel like that part might fall. Yep, it fell right out right there. Beautiful. Let's take a look. We can still see our pattern line, which is fantastic. Cut number 5 comes down through like this, and my pattern happens to meet right there. So I'll lock this in, put it right here. Now this is where it's going to get tricky, because you guys might be like, oh boy, I don't know. Tight here, drew my square line, put it in my vise so that it's straight up and down. Always start with the push stroke. Once I get my indentation in, I'm going to leave that line. Getting a little bit close to it there, so I tilted the saw to start getting it out of the way. I want to leave that line so I can aim for it later. I hear the tone of the wood changing. Must be getting very close. Yes, sir. Just like before, we can still see our pattern line. Put it back in our vise. I see this line here meets the top right here. I bring my square over. I draw my square line. I put it in my vise straight up and down. I take my coping saw and I start ever so carefully. Look, I am good and square with that line right there. Remember, it's tempting to hold the block of wood like this. Normally, I would have you guys sit right in front of it so you can see that line. And for taking a video, I'm going to keep off to the side. I'm going to keep my other hand out of the way so that I don't accidentally cut myself. That wood tone's changing. Bingo was his name, though. Came right on out. And we can see our line there again. So we're almost ready to start shaping this. So remember, cut 1, cut 2, cut 3, cut 4, cut 5, and then cut 6. Perfectly square. Yes, they are a rough cut and a rough shape, But that's beautiful. That's gonna shape up really nicely later on with the file. We've gotten our top section here cut out. The next thing that we're going to work on is cutting out this slope section right here. And if we were pretty skilled, we could easily cut this out with a coping saw by making that curve. However, we're going to use more relief cuts in here, so it makes it a little bit easier for us. And we're going to go over how to do that. So we definitely want to have a relief cut at the lowest point, bottom of that valley. And we'll probably put 2 other relief cuts next to it, about a pencil width away. And we'll go ahead and do another 2, about a pencil width away from those. We'll take our square, put it right here, and we will draw these lines. What do you think we're going to do these lines next? Say it again. Right before we cut them, what are we going to do? Square them over the top. So we're going to take our square, make our little dashes where they meet. When we cut these, when are we going to stop?
Before the line.
Yes, sir, right before the line. That's very important. Is that a pretty fast cut? Now when I'm cutting this, I need to make sure that I'm a little bit careful, because if I was going really hard on this, I could break this right along my grain where it's in the vise right here. If I hit this thing like this, it would snap right in half. It's that soft. So let's take a look. All of my relief cuts stop right before this curve right here, so we are in great shape. All right. So when we left off, what we were going over is how to properly cut these relief cuts right here. And you might say, well, I bet you I could cut that out perfect. And some of you might be able to. But I would take the bet that most of you are probably going to mess it up by doing it. So we're going to use 5 relief cuts. The one in the bottom of the valley here, and then 2 more a pencil width that way, 2 more a pencil width this way. We cut them down to our pattern line, but not into it. And we're going to go over how just cutting straight lines will allow us to cut a curve, or a curve in, what's the word I'm looking for here? Appearance. So let me go over something. Right here I have a 90-degree angle. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dashes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dashes. I'm going to use this stick right here. Can we agree that this is straight? I agree. I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to go from this line, so one line to one line. That's 1. Go down to the next one. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. And last one is going to be 7. What does that look like to you guys? Boy, if I was sitting up here on a skateboard and I kicked it down, what would I be doing? Going down the ramp, right? Another one of these would have a half pipe. All right? So, is this a straight line? Right here, is this a straight line that I drew? Sure. Is this a straight line? Is this a straight line? This, these are all straight lines. But because we did all those straight lines close to one another, that's going to equal a curve in appearance. All right, so now that we have these relief cuts drawn right here, the next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to enter into our relief cut area and enter into our relief cut area on this side. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take our square, but we're going to use the straight edge side of it. And we're going to draw a line from our relief cut up. And if we take a look, that equals the top right here. Put a line there. This one over here, oh man, it basically meets like right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Put it in my vise. Square that line across. Square this line across. Now, we want to enter it straight. So that means I'm going to enter it right about like that. So this is going to be a very, very, very difficult cut for me to go because I'm entering this on such a steep angle. So I'm going to go ever so carefully. Taking my time. I'm watching this line right here. I'm going to get myself a nice groove started. Nice and easy. Now there's see if we can move that way. We're going to cut right down to our first relief cut. Oh, look at that. Piece just came right out. Another piece just came right out. Another piece just came right out. So I went 1, 2, 3. All right. I'm down into the bottom of my valley. Going to turn this like this. A little more straight. Same thing. This is a very steep angle to enter at. So I'm going to be very, very, very slow and steady and careful. I'm going to start on this nice angle. Oh yeah, I got into the groove. I'm in the groove, baby. I'm getting pretty close to that line right there, so I twisted this a little bit. Oh, look at that. Nice piece just came right out. Oh, another piece just came right out. Kind of getting off my line a little bit right there. So I want to make sure I didn't cut into my, I want to make sure I didn't cut into my line. So I stopped right before I cut into my line. I'm now going to bring it over this way. And I'll just finish my cut right here. And look at that. Came right out. Do we still see all of my stencil line? Did I just cut a whole bunch of straight lines right there? And what does that look like? Nice and curved, right? Pretty easy stuff? All right, that's how